Hey guys, welcome to today's training. Today is part 2 of the real estate fix and flip series. What I'm going to be talking in today's part is the basically setting your criteria. So guys, whenever you guys are looking at getting into real estate and getting into the fix and flip side, before you even get started guys, you need to really think about where you're going to head with the type of properties and the type of criteria that you're going to be searching for. You know, you can't shoot at a target unless you know what the heck you're shooting at. So you've got to be able to set your criteria for the kind of real estate that you want, where you're going to find those kinds of properties, and then run the data to be able to find out, okay, that's the area I want to go to, or that's what I want to go after, before you ever step foot into, okay, now I want to buy this house. You know, how are you going to know if that's the house you want to buy unless you know that's the kind of criteria in the house that you want to actually get? All right, so let's talk a little bit about the type of sellers that you guys are going to go after. Now, when we're talking about sellers, guys, you know, obviously what you want to do is you want to go after motivated sellers, and you want to go after the individual sellers that you want to be able to find, and you want to negotiate yourself. So, you know, we find a lot of deals off MLS or things that are on market, but really, guys, the target market you want to go after is stuff that's off market. And the type of sellers you want to go after are motivated sellers, which means there's some sort of reason why they want to sell, and they need to sell quick, they want to sell now, and it's not like oh, hey, I want to think about it, or I want to see what the market will bring me, or I just want to test and feel what the prices you're going to pay. So that's not a motivated seller. What we're looking for is either within a motivated seller, basically the definition of that is a property that is either distressed physically or it's some sort of financial distress. So there's got to be some sort of, you know, it doesn't have to be one or the other, it could be both, but usually it's the property is in bad shape, it's in bad condition, structurally it's not sound, and or there's a financial distress that's attached to that where they need to sell it for some sort of reason. They may be going through a divorce, probate, foreclosure. This also may be a rental, something that they've rented out to a troublesome tenant, and that tenant's giving them headaches. They may be tearing up the property as well. They could have inherited this property, they could be retiring, or just moving for work purposes. So, and a lot of times too, guys, that'll become a motivational, a financial motivational distress, because what ends up happening is they start moving on to their next job. It's too far away from their house. They end up buying another house, and then now they got 2 mortgages that they got to pay on. So that's where we want to come in as real estate investors to really find that motivation for sellers and to be able to offer them a solution for the property, whether it's in a physical deterrence or a financial distress. That's the kind of products, that's the kind of sellers that we want to go after, because those are the kind of criterias and what we're going to look for. All right, guys, so let's talk a little bit about the criteria for your flips and what you guys are going to go after and what you guys are going to do. A lot of criteria are going to go into what you guys are financeable for, so you know what you qualify for, the amount of money you may have raised, the area that you're in, how far you want to go out, your risk tolerance as well. But a lot of things you guys are going to need to do is, you know, when you first get into real estate, you need to kind of sit down and say, okay, this is the kind of either profit I want to make, or this is the kind of price points, this is the area. You know, it's kind of like mapping out a business plan before you get into business. You know, you need to be able to do this and sit down for a while and think about really what you want, because without doing that, people are going to ask you, you know, what kind of houses do you buy, where do you buy, all that kind of stuff. You need to be able to answer those questions, and this stuff doesn't take a long time, but you need to be able to do a little bit of market research, find out exactly what you want, and be able to really identify exactly what that is that you're going to go after. And then, of course, as your real estate career starts to grow or you start to change, that obviously is going to change as well. But big things, guys, price points is obviously a thing you want to stay within. If you're green, like I'm telling you, stay within that median home price, that you're going to be much more successful as far as reaching the type of buyers you want and selling those properties very quickly. Rehab limits, guys, that's a big one. You know, what kind of risk tolerance do you have around that kind of construction? You know, are you okay doing structural items? Are you okay doing foundation and plumbing and electrical and roofs? You know, do you want to stay under a certain rehab budget, like 30 grand? You don't want to do any projects bigger than that. When you start doing higher price point constructions, you may not be in the higher price points, but you may be doing more structural items and more dealing with more issues in that sense. So you may say, well, I don't want to deal with that because I don't want to take on the risk, and I don't really know where to go in that direction. And it seems like for me, the risk reward factor doesn't really make sense. So you need to think about those kind of issues and those factors when you're thinking about your criteria for flips, because it'll make a big impact So guys, the biggest thing I can tell you as far as what you also want to stay within your business is where you want to go as far as geographically. The last thing I'll tell you guys is that if you want to stay inside the Metroplex or outside the Metroplex will really determine too about your volume and the amount of team that you want to build underneath you. Whenever you guys are going outside the Metroplex, you're looking at areas that are rural or maybe not as populated and may not sell as quickly, but they're areas that they got less competition. So that may be a direction that you want to go, in an area that you want to go after. And obviously within the Metroplex, you're going to deal with higher competition and you're going to deal with an easy time selling it, but maybe a little bit slimmer margins. So just keep that in mind. Some target areas. Guys, whenever you're talking about target areas, let's talk about the places that you want to focus in, okay? So, we as a real estate brokerage and investment company focus on all the major counties within DFW. So, the Collin County, Denton County, Tarrant County, Dallas County, and then we go outside of those as well. We go into Johnson, Ellis, Kaufman, Parker, and then also Grayson. So, we're inside the Metroplex. We're also a little bit outside the Metroplex. And then we've done some deals down in Houston as well. But, we looked at that and said, when I first got started, I said, well, where do I want to start first? And really, I was looking more at zip codes. I was going, okay, these are the zip codes I want to target, and this is what I want to go after. And honestly, guys, if you go after large or small, you'll still be able to find a good amount of deals, because if you're going small, if you're going after certain subdivisions or certain zip codes, then you need to make your marketing targeted around that personability that you will have towards that certain subdivision or that certain zip code. And if you target your marketing around that, there's going to be plenty of types of deals. Now, then you can go much larger and go, well, I want to do the whole DFW area. Well, now that broadens your horizon to different kinds of properties, but now you need to learn those different kinds of markets. So the learning curve there might be that you can get started now with the areas you want to learn and you want to get into, and then slowly start learning bigger and better areas to go out and expand to. So then at some point you can say, okay, when I get a property in the DFW area, I can go pretty much after anything. Target areas too that you want to look for, especially guys with the fix and flip strategy, you want to look to our 1-to-3 ratio for actives to solds. So you don't want to look in an area that's got more actives than it does solds, and usually a 1-to-3 ratio is a good ratio to look at for the amount of actives compared to the amount of solds. And also look for places that have low days on market. That's where you really, really want to target. You want to go after high growth areas, and also not just the high growth areas, but looking into the future and saying, okay, in the next 5 years, where are those areas going to go to? Because potentially that could be where the market is heading. And you want to be a little bit ahead of the market as far as where they're going to go in the areas and direction that the marketplace is heading. So you want to be right there in the center of everything sometimes. Sometimes you want to be just right on that outskirts, being able to prepare and get ready for the next wave of people moving and also developing those areas. Development, secondary markets, like I've talked about, those are the kind of areas that you want to go after, as well as secondary markets to be able to get a little bit less competition. Just keep in mind, guys, it's going to sell a little bit slower. It may, you may get lower price points, which is a good thing, but you also may get, a little bit of a struggle selling it, just because if you sit on it for too long, then it's not going to be a good fix and flip property, and you might get a little bit of a flop. Running your data. Last thing, guys, running your data is very, very important, because you really want to make sure that you are going into the right areas, like looking at days on market, looking at average sales prices for the subdivisions, looking at comparables. There's definitely some things you need to look at for comparables to make sure that you're going into the right area, or you're looking at the right kind of property, and you've got a number or an idea on what that price point is going to sell for. MLS statistics, there's a lot of good reports that come out from MLS or Netris, if you're in the North Texas area, that will show you guys exactly where the market's heading, comparables of actives to actives last year, price reductions compared to price reductions last year, new on markets, new inventory, price changes, all that kind of stuff. MLS is like a huge data center for you guys to be able to get information on, so you need to be able to use that to your advantage. And then you can divvy up that however you want. You can look at those statistics on a micro scale when you're looking at like certain subdivisions, or you could go as macro as your whole Texas market. So just depends on what you want to do, but obviously, guys, work that towards your business model however you feel best suited. School districts, foreclosures, those are also data feeds that you want to look for as well, because just in the central Texas market, You want to look for school districts that are good school districts to go into, you know, at least 4 stars or more rated when you look at the real list taxes. But also foreclosures are good to look at when you're looking at data for your marketing to go and say, this is a high foreclosure market or subdivision, let's go in there and start marketing for the type of properties that we're going to look for. So guys, that is a wrap on basically analyzing your criteria, figuring out where you want to go, looking at the kind of data feeds, because that's a key important part to the real estate investment side that a lot of people skip over, you know, and they kind of look at this going down the road. You want to get those things in place. It doesn't take much time to do all this kind of stuff. You know, I know we all want to work on finding new deals, but if you spend about half a day to a day really compromising and figuring out, okay, this is what I want, you're going to know how to go after it, and you're going to know the certain areas too, because a lot of this will play into your marketing piece later down the road. So guys, if you're looking to acquire or sell a 1 to 4 family property, or looking to do a fix and flip strategy, have any general questions or information for us, please feel free to reach out to me at 817-986-0911, or shoot our team an email at therealreform@gmail.com, and hope to see you on part 3 of our training.